This is a mini lesson on how to use context clues. When you are unable to figure out the meaning of a word, you may find a clue to its meaning in context. Context means the other words and sentences that are around a certain word. A writer may use context to help make a meaning clear. He may tell you directly what a word means. That's called a direct context clue. Let's see if you can find out what the heavy type word means in the following sentence. A heliograph is a device that takes a picture of the sun. What is a heliograph? Excellent, it states it right there. A heliograph is a device that takes pictures of the sun. Writers also explain meanings of a word by using punctuation marks, such as commas or dashes. Notice how the words in heavy type are explained in these two sentences. Most very large telescopes are reflecting, or mirror telescopes. Meteorites, meteors that can reach the Earth, can cause huge craters. As you can see in all of these sentences, the writer tells you directly what a word means. Sometimes a context clue is less directly stated, and you have to figure it out. This is called an indirect context clue. For example, what is the meaning of the words in bold print in the following sentences? They made a regulation that everyone must be on time. The cake was made up of 8 ingredients. Take a few seconds and try to figure out, what does regulation and ingredients mean? You can tell from the first sentence that regulation means rule or law. In the second sentence, you can guess that the word ingredients means the different things, such as flour and sugar, that go into a cake. Sometimes you may find a clue to an unfamiliar word in another word with similar or like meanings. Use a context clue in the following sentence. Find the meaning of assume. The pilot had to assume his altitude, just as he had to guess the best path into the center of the hurricane. The words just as suggest that assume means the same as guess. Another kind of clue is a word with the opposite meaning. What does penetrate mean in the following sentence? For many years, pilots had tried to go around a hurricane, but now the hurricane hunters began to penetrate them. What do you think penetrate means? The word but suggests that penetrate means the opposite of go around. If the pilots no longer had to go around a hurricane, they would go through it. To penetrate means to enter into or go through. Even a small word such as to can be a helpful clue to meaning. Max was a fledgling, but Bert was a beginner too. What do you think fledgling means? From context, you can tell that a fledgling is a beginner. Always be alert to the total context of a word. Sometimes you need to read more than one sentence to find a clue to an unfamiliar word. For example, what can you tell about the word nova from this sentence? When this happened, a nova results. You cannot tell what a nova is from that sentence, but read these two sentences together. Sometimes a star will burst. When this happens, a nova results. Now do you know what a nova means? Great, now you know that a nova is a result of a bursting star. But perhaps you want to know something more exact. More context can give you additional information. Sometimes a star will burst. When this happens, a nova results. Immense clouds of gas are released. A nova flares very brilliantly for a few days while it is expanding. After a while, it shrinks again to its usual size and loses its brilliance. It's important to look at the larger context and look for all that is said about an unfamiliar word. You can sometimes be confused by figurative meaning. We've talked a lot about figurative meaning in class and figurative language in class. Figurative language includes similes, metaphors, hyperbole, and personification. Here's an example of figurative meaning. The racer could hear the drumbeat of his own heart as the excitement grew. You know that a drumbeat is a sound made by a musical instrument. This is its literal meaning. Its use in the sentence above tells you just how hard the racer's heart was beating like a drum, so it's being used in a figurative way. It is a way for the writer to state more clearly or strongly what he is trying to say. When you see a word you know and it's not used in a literal or exact way, it's probably being used in a figurative way. Context will help you decide whether the meaning is literal or figurative.